The Representation Matters movement was supposed to revolutionize Hollywood. But has it? Let's be real, this movement is epically failing, and it's not surprising. It never really addressed an important underlying issue: the promotion of abuse and mockery of trauma in shows and movies. The Karate Kid franchise is a great example to look at. For 6 seasons, the show Cobra Kai promoted abuse culture. The Cobra Kai characters Johnny, Miguel, and Tori were the abusers. The Miyagi-Do characters Daniel, Robbie, and Sam were the victims. The show was always Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do. It was always abusers versus victims. It promoted victim blaming while allowing abusers to skate by because of their sob stories. It framed the victims' trauma responses against them, framing the abusers as sympathetic. By the end, it made the victims come to heel, or as the writers called it, adapt, and made them subservient to their abusers, while the abusers were celebrated and given the big wins. It subtly promoted unhealthy pro abuse, anti victim messages throughout. Cobra Kai is pretty much representation matters for abusers. The franchise stands by these decisions. They have no intention of addressing them. In fact, thanks to Cobra Kai, a white father replacing his white son with a brown kid, and the show using the son's trauma against him, are now celebrated as part of the Representation Matters movement. Is this really the direction the movement wants to go in? And of course, Cobra Kai wasn't even over yet, and the franchise said again, representation matters, as in, we want to cash in more. So they covered this all up with the token POC Karate Kid, hailing themselves for doing more diversity. As if choosing a Karate Kid based on race isn't racism. As if using race to cover up all the other toxicity isn't a mockery of representation itself. In fact, all of this is a striking representation of Hollywood as an industry. We don't support any of this. We don't support the franchise promoting abuse and sexual assault culture. We don't support them promoting the culture of silencing and invalidating victims while celebrating their abusers. We don't support that Robbie Keane and Sam LaRusso were thrown away completely in the name of representation. We don't support that Mr. Miyagi's legacy was destroyed to prop up Johnny Lawrence's legacy. The original Mr. Miyagi represents compassionate, emotionally mature, healthy adults. Johnny Lawrence represents aggressive, emotionally immature, unhealthy adults. We don't support the franchise replacing Mr. Miyagi's and Miyagi-Do's original representations with ones that validate Johnny Lawrence and Cobra Kai. Representation matters, so why is the franchise allowing for another movie without addressing any of this hypocrisy? They proudly promote abuse and sexual assault and the tearing down of healthy legacies to prop up unhealthy legacies and cover it all up with race-based tokenism. This is a representation of what the Representation Matters movement has become. And since we're being real, it's probably always been this way, but like with other toxic systems in the US, Hollywood is becoming more bold and more shameless in its lack of commitment to better representation. After all, why would an industry that is built on a culture of abuse, sexual exploitation, and greed genuinely care about representation? If Hollywood being woke and doing representation will continue to mean promoting abuse and sexual assault with diversity sprinkled throughout, then this Representation Matters movement in its current form needs to die. Representation of humanity matters most. We want a movement that cares about how humanity is represented. We're humans before we're anything else. If representation can't get the humanity part right, then how much does the other stuff actually matter? Speaking out against the Karate Kid franchise, calling for proper resolutions for Robbie Keane and Sam LaRusso, and for their recognition as the only true Karate Kids of this generation. The only true Karate Kids of this generation, and calling for the restoration of Mr. Miyagi and his legacy are our first steps in advocating for a new representation movement. How can a franchise that proudly promotes abuse and the invalidation of victims be a healthy representation of humanity? As humans, we should stop supporting this franchise until they make and follow through with a commitment for change. You know, until representation actually starts mattering to them.